race fans. Welcome back to my little show about motorsports and stuff that I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott, here on the YouTube during racing season, when I feel like it. Well, it is May, one of the busiest months in racing, so I thought it would be a good time to check in with all y'all race fans, old and young. I guess I was inspired to do this latest episode of my little show about racing by meeting two of my young viewers of In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. You see, while I was attending the races at South Sound Speedway on the 12th of May to enjoy late models, mini stocks, Super 4s, baby grands, and vintage modifieds, I was honored by the request of young brothers Cade and Kyson, who are both early in their elementary school careers, who very politely asked old StockCar Scott to autograph the program right back here on the autograph page. And to tell y'all race fans the truth, it was the first time anyone's ever asked StockCar Scott to autograph anything, and it made this old fella's week. Heck, it made my month. So, having no autograph practice, I did my best. Their father, Jerry, said they have really enjoyed watching In the Pits. So, howdy to race fans, Cade and Kyson. I hope to see y'all again at the track in the near future, and be sure to get all of your race fan friends at school to watch In the Pits with StockCar Scott too, because I try to make this show friendly for all race fans, young and old. Hopefully racing and pacing, two of my youngest fans are still watching over on the east side. I see that their older brother, Kingston, has started his racing career, and their daddy, Bucky, has to be happy with the news coming out of Yakima Speedway. I hope to see them and all my racing friends on the east side come this summer as Ron Bennett and Doug Betterall get racing going again at the historic half mile for at least a partial last season. I won't be able to go to all the races, but I will. But it will be great to get to see my favorite bunch of stock car drivers, the West Coast Late Model Series, racing again a little bit closer to my home base here at Race Central. I have been keeping myself busy though since the last show. At the end of April, my wife and I got over to the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval for the Leonard Evans 150. We got there a little late because I had to see all of the Xfinity race at my favorite racetrack at Talladega, won by Spencer Gallagher, and stop at the Wenatchee Valley there, Walmart, where I scored these really nifty Daytona 60th Daytona 500 NASCAR Authentics 1/64th size die cast there. Yeah, they had a bunch of them, so I had to grab them all, no matter who it is. And then I also picked up this really sweet number 43 STP Eric Almirola 124th Ford Fusion from last season. I see on NASCAR Authentics website that the new version of the 43, the click and close Chevy Camaro driven by Bubba Wallace, should be on the store shelves pretty soon. But because I had to stop at Walmart, we missed the heat races and most of the first two mains, so I didn't start recording until the Legends 35 lap main, where Caden Anderson on the last lap passed Devin West for an exciting finish there. Oh, be sure to catch that one on my YouTube channel that you're watching right now. Next was the big 150 lap Northwest Super Late Model Series feature that was won by Taylor Riddle, who dominated most of the race, though a chase was given late in the race by last year's Northwest Super Late Model Series champion, young Brittany Zamora. That race is also on my YouTube channel here. It was a fun but cold night of racing for my wife's first visit back to Wenatchee Valley Super Oval in over a decade. Now, I was there last year with the West Coast Late Model Series, but without my wife Mary. The first weekend of this month of May, I went to see the twin 55-lap Super Late Model features at Evergreen Speedway, along with street stocks, Hornets, and a couple of figure 8 races. It was my first chance to wear my new Tyler Tanner t-shirt, though Tyler didn't do as well as hoped on that particular Saturday night, with a 5th place finish in the first race and a 3rd in the second race. Now, you might ask why I have picked Tyler Tanner as my favorite local late model driver. Well, he meets 3 of my important criteria, which means a standard by which something may be decided for my younger viewers. And in Tyler's case, those criteria include that he is a legacy, meaning his father raced. Heck, Kelly Tanner was a 2-time NASCAR Northwest Elite champion. And Tyler also races my favorite brand of automobile, Chevy. And the other thing that no other young local late model driver can say, Tyler Tanner has done, and that is a race at my favorite racetrack in the world, in a NASCAR truck race at Talladega that my brother and I attended a few years ago during a trip back home. And as a special side note to Cade and Kyson, you know, I love my wife very much. She and I went to the best race I have ever gone to, some of the best races. But there is no one I'd rather go to a race with than my brothers. Sorry, Mary. And I hope, as brothers, Cade and Kyson, one day you will totally understand what I'm saying, even though by then y'all guys will have wives and kids of your own. Ooh, ick, I know. But just remember, brothers are more than just friends, and I ain't only talking to the 2 of you. Let's see here. Okay, where was I before I got off track? And you might think getting off track was first said in racing, but I think the original meaning had a little bit more to do with trains, unfortunately, but I do digress. Back to Evergreen Speedway for the Cinco de Mayo races, where Garrett Archer won the first super late model feature, and Mike Holden won the last race of the night for super lates. In between, Jake Rippin won the Outlaw Figure 8 main, Cole Reardon won the Hornet main, and Dawson Cox won the Street Stock main. And those can all be seen on the YouTube here. But I did not record the Stinger 8 race. One reason is because it's just too scary. Those little cars going through that intersection, this just was too much. Anyway, also I have decided from now on to leave some races each night unrecorded, so if you want to see them, you will have to go to the track, which is ultimately what I'm trying to get you to do with this little show about motorsports and stuff, is to get you to go to the track and see some stock car racing wherever you may live. You never know what you might see. Right there, Daphne? Come on up here. For example, here's Daphne, my girl. For example, at my home town track of Huntsville Speedway in North Alabama, a 14-year-old girl from Hueytown won her first late model race ever there this past Saturday. For those that don't know, Hueytown is the home of the legendary Alabama gang and NASCAR Hall of Fame driver Bobby Allison with 85 Cup wins, and all-time racing icon Charles "Red" Farmer. These guys raced at Huntsville Speedway several years back when our Uncle Maurice would take us brothers for a guys' night out just to give my single mom a break there. I still remember the excitement of those early races. We once went to a dirt track in northern Florida when visiting another one of my uncles, Uncle Knox. The story that night was of a driver that had been dragged off the track the week before by a sheriff after challenging the call of a local official there. Oh, this was my first lesson in being a race fan, folks. If you don't go to the track every week, you are liable to miss something really good. I think the kids these days call it FOMO. Well, whatever it is called, it means you need to be at the track. Last weekend, if you had been at South Sound Speedway with other race fans like Cade and Kyson and me, you would have seen 5 divisions of racing for well over 200 action-packed laps. In the Vintage Modifieds, Don Hunley won in their 25-lap main, while in the Mini Stock main, Kyle Matthews had another winning night after also winning in his heat race. Jeff Jones did the same thing in Super 4 late models, taking his heat race and the 30-lap main for them. And Brad Crawford was victorious in the Baby Grand main. Then came the late model feature with 50 laps of hard racing amongst a 15-car field, which included Mike Brooks, Caleb Pittman, John Boyette, and Dan Soupbone Walker. After 50 laps of exciting action, Kevin Carver was able to come out victorious. The South Sound Speedway late models are in action again at the end of the month for 2 days of racing. Memorial Day weekend, the 26th and 27th, along with Mini Stocks, Baby Grands, and Dwarf Cars. And I might have to get down there after Saturday night's Galloway 150 at Evergreen Speedway. Like I said, May is a very busy month for racing, not only locally, but nationally with the Indianapolis 500 and the World 600 at Charlotte, as well as the international running of the Grand Prix of Monaco for F1, which is held on the streets of Monte Carlo. Oh, we've got a lot to look forward to on Memorial Day weekend. But first, there's this weekend, in which we have super late model racing with 100 laps at South Sound Speedway, where I might have to return this Saturday, or NASCAR has their all-star race for $1 million on TV, or the big rigs are racing up at Evergreen Speedway for their yearly stop at the fairgrounds. Well, the last choice is not really my cup of tea, so if the weather is good again this weekend, I'll have to record NASCAR and head south again for more live racing with super lates, hobby stocks, legends, and bumblebees, which are now called tuners. Besides, I can always wait to see Kevin Harvick win another Monster Energy Cup race. Yeah, happy Harvick, my brother's favorite NASCAR driver, has been winning a bunch of races. 5 out of the first dozen run this year. He is really making those Fusions run dominantly in that Ford sedan's last season in Cup racing. And boy, howdy, are those Toyota drivers whining about it. Yeah, and my Camaro guys are quietly taking a drubbing. Hopefully things will turn around for the Cup Chevy teams with the new Camaro. Chevrolet has been faring a lot better in the Xfinity Series with Camaro, which has a few seasons under its belt there, where it now holds 4 of the top 5 spots in the driver standings, with 3 of the top 4 being Junior Motorsports Camaros. The other 2 top 5 drivers are Christopher Bell in a Joe Gibbs Racing Devil car, and Daniel Hemrick in a Richard Childress Camaro. Now, I like Hemrick. I like him a lot. My wife and I met him on pit row before the Xfinity race at Phoenix last year, and he seemed to be a very nice young man that was polite enough to spend a few moments on a very busy race day with a couple of total strangers, a couple of old folks that have become new fans. Hemrick made his Monster Energy Cup debut last month in the number 8 Childress Camaro, but it was only an average first Cup start, nothing to crow about. The Camping World Truck Series, we have found out this past week, will have a different title sponsor next year as the Gander Outdoors Truck Series, which is another company owned by Marcus Lemonis of the CNBC reality show The Prophet. So there should really be nothing to worry about with the truck series. Series will go on with Johnny Sauter leading in his Gallagher Motorsports Silverado, and the Toads driver, Noah Gragson, will still be in second. He was allowed, I think, by his owner, by not racing Gragson for the victory last Friday at Kansas, as hard as he might have raced other drivers for the win. Yeah, I think he let him get away with one. Yeah, Toad. I saw that. The next truck race is Friday at Charlotte as part of the All-Star Race Weekend. Meanwhile, in Formula One Series, the TV coverage is just getting better and better, thanks to, again, to Mother's Car Polishes and ESPN2. Hamilton continues to chase the record books with 2 more wins, but it looks to be an exciting season anyway, with the next Grand Prix the end of May through the streets of Monte Carlo. Yeah, I like to say that. And I'll be getting up early on the 27th to see that one. Sans commercial breaks. You getting restless there, babe? Okay. Of course, the 27th is the best day in racing, with the Grand Prix of Monaco, the longest NASCAR Cup race, the Coca-Cola World 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and that little race in Indiana that's been run over 100 times during the Memorial Day weekend, the Indianapolis 500, which is there in between to give me something to nap through. Well, there it is, my plans for the rest of May, starting with returning to South Sound Speedway for super late model hobby stocks and others. Then next weekend is the big Galloway 150 at Evergreen, so I am going to be busy, and I hope to see lots of race fans. Please stop by and say howdy. Just not while I'm trying to capture video of the racing, because I want to be able to give you my full attention when I'm talking to you and it's loud there at the track. So please get yourself to the track this weekend and bring your family and friends. Invite some of your friends from school or work or church so they can experience the fun for themselves. And if they don't like racing, they got great race chow served up by tracks like South Sound and Evergreen, so there you go. And don't think I didn't notice, Butch, that the size of the chicken tenders at South Sound have gotten bigger while the prices stayed the same. Well played, South Sound Speedway. Well played. Sorry I didn't get to any highlights done for this show, but that's really time consuming. And all of the races I capture on video are all now posted for your edification in their entirety here on the YouTube. So when you get done watching this, click on a few to see what you're missing when you don't get to the track. Another way to get caught up on the action around the Northwest racing community now is the Northwest Race Report with Terry Bridges and Jeff the Loader Eden, live on Facebook on Monday evenings with Late Model Monday, my favorite show, and the regular Northwest Race Report that covers more of dirt track racing and karting there on Wednesday evenings. Both shows go on about 6:30 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays on Facebook, so check out the Northwest Race Report with Terry and Jeff for a great post-racing weekend update show with some local racing discussions, a lot of call-in by some of our local drivers and such. Okay, I've gone way too long here, but this past weekend was inspiring thanks to my 2 young fans there. And I just want to inspire others to get out to their local racetrack because it's springtime when thoughts turn to loud engines that make cars go really fast. Hopefully, I'll continue to be inspired throughout this season and produce a few more of these little shows about motorsports and other stuff that I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. When I feel like it. So get out to your local racetrack this weekend if you can, because as I like to say, all races matter and you never know what you might miss. Thank you for race fans for watching, because I know that's 23 minutes you ain't never getting back.